This is the Brandon D. Campbell podcast, where business and mindfulness meet to build a better leader in you. Here's your host, entrepreneur, mentor, and author, Brandon D. Campbell.
And a question that I posed to my followers that I got a great deal of response from is something that has really been on my heart and on my mind. And the question is, what do you give your kids that you wish you had been given as a child to help support their mental health? So, what do you give your kids today that you wished had been given to you to help support their mental health? And I asked that question, got a great deal of responses from my followers, and a couple things just stand out to me. Rosalie said love, attention, grace. Chanel says time, emotional safety, guidance, and help beyond the age of 18. That is a good one. That is a good one. That is a good one because so often we believe as individuals, especially I think it's probably more so a cultural standpoint here as an African American living in this country that when you turn 18 you're grown and you're on your own. you know I went to college and I succeeded and I moved to Los Angeles to start my career in the entertainment industry. And yes, I did have some support from my family, from my mom specifically, especially when I needed it. But there was a lack of some support, also a feeling that I am on my own. And if I fail, it's going to be my fault. And if I succeed, it's going to be my fault. And so that was a heavy burden that I took on at such an early age. And now looking back, I realized that I wasn't necessarily emotionally equipped to really be on my own when I look back on that. And so that was a good comment that I believe that was made as it pertains to that. And so when I think about my kids and how I'm raising them and the things that I'm reparenting myself in a way and not reacting based off of, at least trying my best not to react based off of my own fears, so to speak. And a lot of that is deeply ingrained and rooted in how I was raised, and that fear of scarcity in some areas, but a fear of a lack of love, a fear of not having patience, a fear of in a sense them having to struggle or have the same certain experiences that I've had. And sometimes I have to remind myself that they are living a lot better than I had lived, growing up as a child. They're not in environments where bullets are spraying down the neighborhood. They're not in environments where you have to fear someone breaking into your home. They're not in environments where you know they have to feel as if they're being ostracized in some ways. And so for me as a father, what I've provided for my daughters, at least I always try to at least, is to really provide empathy and connection. Also to provide a space for them to feel. I ask my daughters questions about their feelings and about their emotions, and giving them resources and tools on how to relegate their emotions and how to express them. Teaching them through my own actions, journaling, meditation, being present in the now. I had a daughter that an episode recently of just really being overwhelmed, and heart was racing, and tears running down her face. And uh, I had to really put on some soft music and use one of the Headspace app, and do some breathing exercises with her. But it's just I want to just be able to have my daughters um, be confident and secure enough to know that sometimes just being is feeling, and that there's nothing wrong with being and feeling, and understanding that not everybody's going to feel the way you feel. Not everybody's going to not going to have the same perspective as you. but I just want them to just have this psychological safety, that, and knowing that they are safe, and that they are loved, and that people love them and people like them. And that's what I want to try to pour into them as much as possible, so that they don't have that self-defeating uh, mentality, that attitude where you believe that you're not liked, that you're not loved because of where you come from, because of who you are, your family, or your, even, the color of your skin. You know, you don't have to feel inadequate. And so that's what I want to instill in my daughters as a father, and you know, being self-sufficient, but also knowing that they can have people, especially me and their mom, to depend on. And so those are some things that I try to provide for my daughters in the ways that I didn't get it provided for me, and that's just comes from environmental, and growing up in a single parent household, and not having that connection with my father the way that I had longed for growing up, and even the connection with my mother, and the people around me the way that I had longed for. And so, that is why I wrote the book, Oh Brother, My Brother. And so, to provide an atmosphere and a safe space for children to be and feel in front of their parents, and know that it's okay to feel their way, and to be reminded that they are safe. And so, my question to you is, what are some things you give to your kids today that you wish that you would have been given to help support their mental health, and hope, and you wish that you were given the same things? And so I'd love to hear from you.